No one who abides in him keeps on sinning. A reading from the first letter of St. John, chapter 2, verses 29 and 3 verse 6. Beloved, if you know that God is righteous, you may be sure that everyone who practices righteousness has been born of him. See what kind of love the Father has given us, that we should be called children of God, and so we are. The reason why the world does not know us is that it did not know him. Beloved, we are God's children now, and what we will be has not yet appeared. But we know that when he appears, we shall be like him, because we shall see him as he is. And everyone who thus hopes in him purifies himself as he is pure. Everyone who makes a practice of sinning also practices lawlessness. Sin is lawlessness. You know that he appeared in order to take away sins, and in him there is no sin. No one who abides in him keeps on sinning. No one who keeps on sinning has either seen him or known him. The word of the Lord.
There is a village in Tamil Nadu, in the state of Tamil Nadu in India, in the south of India, where there's something very special that happens. I came to know about this because our parishioners in the Holy Family Church in Doveton in Melbourne, their son-in-law comes from that place, from that village. And in that village, they have a St. Michael's church, and it's a Christian village, and every child in the village has the name Michael. Somewhere in their name, they have the name Michael. Maybe it is a perfect place for me to have been there as well, because the sadness that I always had that my sister and brother never named their children after me would have vanished over there. I would have got an overdose of Michaels around. But very interesting that anywhere these village children would go, and if the name was said, people would then be able to identify the children to that particular village. So they were identified as the village children because of that name Michael. In today's first reading, it starts with the words, "You know that God is righteous." That is who he is, righteous. And everyone who has been born of God, they are children of God, they are righteous. Just by the very fact that they are born, they are meant to be righteous. They are called to be righteous. They are righteous. That is how the scripture goes on. See what love the Father has given us, that we should be called children of God. That is what we are. That is how we are born. We are born as children of God. We are born with that identity of being righteous. But then what happens in the future, according to that scripture verse, says, the reason the world does not know us is that it is because they do not know him. Beloved, we are God's children now. What we will be has not yet been revealed. So we are born as children of God. We are righteous when we are born as children of God. But what we will be is not yet revealed. What we will be is a result of what we choose to be. Do I choose to be righteous? I can have an identity. I can have an identity with my name. I've always found it very, very interesting when people actually change their names There's a gazette, you have to actually give it in the newspaper. In Sri Lanka, is it the same? I don't know. You have to give it out into the newspaper as well. I really wonder who is even bothered in the newspaper. Nobody even reads the newspaper nowadays. So it doesn't make sense. But still, I've always found it very strange that people choose to change their name. It's kind of like trying to change your identity when you change your name. And here, the scripture tells us we are born children of God because we are supposed to be righteous, because He is righteous. That is the identity. Because my Father in heaven is righteous, so I am righteous and I'm a child of God. But I choose if I'm going to continue in this righteousness. I'm going to choose if I want that identity. What does it mean to be righteous? It means to be right with God. We people are always people who want to be right with others. As far as possible, we will try to be right with others. And at times, we will even compromise our morals so that we will be right with others. If we are sitting in a group, everyone's gossiping. I'm the only one who has nothing to say because I don't want to gossip. But then, when I'm sitting in the group, I want the others to accept me. I want to be right with them. And so I will continue gossiping. I will be a part of it. I will be right with them, but I've compromised on my morals. So often we leave our identity behind is when we are ready to compromise on our righteousness with God, to being right with God. We are busy being right with friends. We are busy being right with business partners. We are busy being right with our relatives. We are busy being right with the whole world. But the question is, am I right with God? For me to remain as a child of God, for me to remain in righteousness, I need to remain being right with God. In the Gospels, we read about Joseph. The only quality that they speak about Saint Joseph is that he was a righteous man. That's the only quality the scripture gives about Saint Joseph. He was a righteous man. And you see that being played out when he comes to know that Mary is pregnant and he's going to get rid of her silently. But then the angel of the Lord comes and tells Joseph, no, she's conceived of the Holy Spirit. And at that moment, we see how his righteousness plays out. He decides, I will be right with God rather than being right with the people. He chose to be right with God. Ask ourselves, we were born as children of God. We were born into this righteousness because of our Father who is righteous. How are we living our lives today? Are we living it in righteousness? Only if we are living it in righteousness will we be called children of God. If we give up our righteousness because I want to be right with the world, we compromise our identity. It's pretty much like giving an advertisement in the newspaper and saying, I'm ready to change my identity. I'm ready to change my name. Well, if we are ready to change our name, the word tells us in 1 John chapter 3, verse 4, everyone who commits sin, those who haven't chosen to be right with God, everyone who commits sin is guilty of lawlessness. Sin is lawlessness. You know that he was revealed to take away sins, and in him there is no sin. He is pure. No one who abides in him can sin. No one who is with him can sin. No one who is nourished by Jesus can sin. No one who identifies with Jesus can sin, because they will be called children of God. No one who sins has either seen him or known him. If we choose sin, it is clear, I don't actually know him. I haven't chosen Jesus. If I haven't chosen Jesus, then I cannot expect protection from Jesus. I'm not one with him. I've chosen to walk away. The choice is mine. Righteousness is always a choice. We have been gifted righteousness, But ultimately, what we do with that righteousness is our choice. Do I want my identity being a child of God, or do I want my identity as being a person of the world? Let's close our eyes for a moment. Lord, in my very birth, there is a great revelation that I'm called to be a child of God. I'm called to righteousness, to be right with you. Lord, I have been gifted that privilege, as the scripture, the first reading tells us. It is an honor for us to be born with that identity. But Lord, as I've journeyed through this life, so often I have compromised on that identity. There have been times when I've even shed that identity. And I've put on the identity of the world. I have compromised my heart. I have chosen sin and lawlessness. And I've moved far away from you. Oh Lord, I ask forgiveness for all the times when I have chosen to sin rather than to choose purity and holiness. Where I've chosen the world over you. Where I've compromised my righteousness. I humble myself here, offering myself once again to you. Purify me, Lord, make me righteous.